Hi tribe, welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at a really special value, dan lekaf zchut, judging others favorably. Now this value shows up in many places, not just one place. Firstly, we see it in the book of Leviticus in the Torah in chapter 19, where it says, judge peers with righteousness. And the sages explained this to mean to consider each person favorably. In the second chapter of Pirkei Avot, the Ethics of Our Fathers, we also get a common source for this value. Don't judge your friend until you reach his place, meaning until you've walked a mile in his shoes, like we say. Now you might be thinking, okay, but to what extent am I really supposed to do this? Because if somebody does something wrong, don't I need to hold them accountable? Like, what's the limit? Just how much benefit of the doubt can I really give someone? And I learned an explanation from the great sage Maimonides, also known as the Rambam, that I thought was just so insightful. And he says that any action that can be viewed either positively or negatively, with no clear indicator to tip the scales, it is bederech hachasidut, that it is in the path of piety to judge the other favorably. And I'd like to elucidate this with a story, actually. I was once walking to a Shabbat Chatan with my aunt. Shabbat Chatan is the Shabbat either before a couple gets married or the Shabbat after the couple gets married, depending on your background, whether you're Ashkenazi or Sephardi, where it celebrates the groom. There's also Shabbat Kala, the Shabbat celebrating the bride. And again, the timing is dependent on your practice. But it's meant to bring everyone together on Shabbat to really celebrate them. And we had to walk quite a ways, a good 45 minutes, and my aunt was complaining to me, saying, I don't understand why they did it in a shul, a synagogue that is so far away, when most of the family lives in this part of the city, and it just doesn't make any sense. They should have had more consideration for those of us who are Shomer Shabbat, who keep the laws of the Sabbath and don't drive or won't get in a car or won't use electricity or anything of the sort. And most of the family was not in that category, but we were, and so we were walking, and she just couldn't understand it. Why did they have to choose this big, nice, far synagogue and not one of the nice synagogues that were closer, just to accommodate those who had to walk? And we got there, and we ate and drank and wished them Mazal Tov and sang, and it was beautiful. And then on our walk back, my aunt turned to me and said, Chana, I was wrong. I saw family that lives on the total other side of town, equally distant from here, but in the opposite direction. And they also had to walk, and this shul was actually the most central location. And I was wrong about them. And it just goes to show you should really judge favorably. And I thought that was so big of her. Not just to recognize that she had judged them unfavorably, but then to tell me that she had made that mistake, to own up to it and correct it. And I took that lesson with me because she's a very wise woman, a woman I consider a mentor. And I think that's part of it. It's not that we don't err, that we don't judge people. We're all constantly sort of making evaluations in our head. It's almost human to judge others in our minds. But the test of a true character is whether you're able to work on and refine what it is that your first impression wants to tell you and choose to judge the other person favorably. And I think by extension, what the Rambam says shows us that in order to judge someone favorably, what we really have to do is reach inside and change ourselves, and that it's valuable in its own right for our own spiritual journey. And what's interesting is that when we judge people, it doesn't really say much about the person we're judging as much as it does about who we are internally and what's going on inside of us. And so the more we judge unfavorably, actually, the more it speaks of our own insecurities, our own flaws and faults. And the more we're able to judge positively, the more it speaks to how we're willing to work on ourselves and to refine ourselves to see the inherent goodness in others. So that's the blessing that I give you, and I hope that we can all share that we should always try and judge others favorably.